Hello YouTube, shintigercurl here, that dude in the straw hat, bringing you yet another wrestling review. I'm of course joined by my fellow wrestling fan and internet superstar, Joe. Say hi, Joe. He had yogurt today. Well, after a short hiatus due to a ear infection that left me partially deaf, I'm back, and it's Monday night. You know what that means. Time for some Raw. After a week after the controversial firing of Awesome Truth and a week before yet another WWE pay-per-view Hell in a Cell, what kind of chaos are we going to see on tonight's Raw? I got my notes. Let's get started. Trips comes out and he explains his firing of the Awesome Truth, Miz, and R-Truth. He says that while he did fine them $250,000 each, he had all the intent to fire them from the get-go because of their attacks on referees. And he said that tonight someone else is going to have to pay the $250,000, and that person will be Mark Henry after what he did to Jerry the King Lawler last week, putting him through a real table. Not his fault. Next up, Dolph Ziggler and Vickie Guerrero come out, and Dolph decides to bitch and moan about how Hugh Jackman broke his jaw. Well, it was more like a hairline fracture of his jaw, but still, he got knocked the fuck out by Wolverine last week. This is further compounded by Cody Rhodes, who complains that last week, if you didn't see SmackDown, Randy Orton beat him bloody and gave him a bad gash on the side of his head, which required, I think, about seven staples in his head. Then Christian comes out, complaining that Sheamus screwed him over in his match against Mark Henry, even though it was a lumberjack match and Sheamus was only doing his job. So yeah, so guys, get some cheese out because this is a wine party if I've ever heard one, and the wine is vintage. Anyway, Triple H says, Christian says that he wants one more match. And Triple H agrees. He gives him one more match this Sunday at Hell in a Cell against Sheamus. Then he says he'll give him another one more match on SmackDown against Randy Orton. And tonight, he'll get one more match against John Cena. I feel bad for you, Christian. Then, as Christian leaves, butthurt, he decides to turn his attention to Dolph and Vickie, saying that the right thing to do would be to give a U.S. title shot to, who else? Zack Ryder. I'm not doing it. I only do it once per episode, so you gotta pick your spot. Anyway, they leave butthurt. Cody complains and earns himself have to defend his title in a 10-man over-the-top battle royal for his IC title. So that goes into our first match, the 10-man over-the-top battle royal for the Intercontinental title. There was a lot of people in this match: Ezekiel Jackson, Sheamus, Daniel Bryan, Sin Cara, Drew McIntyre. Haven't seen him in a while. Who else? Ted DiBiase, and I think there was a few others, but I couldn't really count who they were. There was a nice little bit where Malo Sin Cara threw the good one out and tried to take his place, but Daniel Bryan wasn't having it, so he threw him out. It comes down to finally Sheamus versus Cody Rhodes, and well, if you see the build-up of these guys, you're not going to imagine who's going to win. Christian comes out to do some interference, which is enough that Cody uses his mask to knock Sheamus out of the ring. Cody retains. Next up, we have a little backstage stuff with David Otunga, who's now sporting a Doctor Who bow tie, because bow ties are cute, with Johnny Ace, and says that he will do something for Otunga. Next up, tag team match. Divas tag team match. Kelly and Eve versus the Divas of Destruction, Natty and Beth Phoenix. This is a rematch from last week, and this was Natalya on display. She did some pretty impressive submission moves, but nonetheless, the right Divas won as the Divas of Destruction win dominantly. Next up, Mark Henry goes one-on-one with the Great Khali. Seeing as how Khali was scared shitless of him, I don't even know why he would get in the ring. The match doesn't even get started before Henry decks him with the belt and hits the world's strongest slam, berating him, telling that he should be afraid, and that if he's going to pay a fine, everyone's going to pay a fine. That's right, Triple H. Not even a fine can stop Mark Henry. He'll make you pay. Next up, John Cena cuts a small promo about how it's a decent enough promo for him, but I'm still not really feeling it. This leads up to Cena versus Christian. And lo and behold, CM Punk and Alberto Del Rio are on for commentary, and Punk even dusts off his old commentator's jacket from when he was a commentator on Raw, thus giving us some epic commentating. I'm not even going to attempt to say what it was about, because fucking CM Punk, what can you expect? The match ends FUBAR when Alberto Del Rio attacks John Cena, and further claims that it is his destiny to beat the hell out of both of them. Wink. Next up, Zack Ryder versus Dolph Ziggler for the U.S. title. This was actually a pretty solid one-on-one matchup. Ryder looks very strong in this matchup, and even though Dolph has a legit injury to his jaw thanks to Wolverine, he still put up a good match. There was some interference outside, thanks to his fellow stablemate, Jack Swagger, allowing Dolph to win. The two start to beat him down until Air Boom comes out. I still hate that fucking name. They start brawling, and then Teddy Long comes out. Hold on now, player. And he says that this match, that Vicky better find a third person, because it's going to be either a 3-on-3 or 2-on-3 matchup. So we segue into our next match: Zack Ryder and Air Boom versus Dolph Ziggler and Jack Swagger. Apparently 2-on-3. Very good matchup until it's revealed who Vicky got. Mason Ryan, aka Welsh Tista, hits the ring. He gets tagged in, but immediately turns on Swagger and Dolph, allowing Ryder to pick up the bones and beat Dolph Ziggler twice in 2 weeks. Excuse me for a second. That's right, you dirty bastard. Zack Ryder beat the US champion 2 weeks in a row. Take that, Dolph Ziggler, you breech-brawn prima donna twat. Now, fish pop me. I'm still getting over the ear infection. Get fish pop me, you whore! Fine. Woo, woo, woo. You know it. You see what I have to put up with every week? Anyway, moving on. We go to our main event. Alberto Del Rio versus CM Punk with John Cena on commentary. Sadly, Cena's commentary duties are completely lacking, and it's boring to actually hear him talk on commentary, which is just not. But nonetheless, this was an excellent main event. Both Punk and Del Rio looked amazing out there tonight, and I'm not saying this because I'm a mark for both of those guys. These guys are good and technically proficient. They mesh up well, and this was just a knockdown, drag out fight between these two. Shame that Cena's gonna have to be in there and kind of mess things up. Anyway, after a long hard battle, Punk wins. But as soon as the match ends, the cage starts to lower on top of the ring. Ricardo Rodriguez attempts to attack Punk. He tries to run away, but Cena stops him, and he is locked inside the cage with two very pissed off faces. They start to beat the crap out of him, and then they turn on each other, but Del Rio appears with a steel chair and utterly lays waste to the two of them. That is right, Cena and Punk. You underestimated El Patron, and next Sunday It will be hell for you. Wink. And that is Raw. My thoughts. It was an okay show as a build-up for Hell in a Cell. We had some decent matches, even though the writer getting 2 matches back to back. Well, that's good for him. I'm not as big as a writer fan as somebody. The main event was awesome, and there was some pretty good promos. There was a lot of backstage drama, as it seems that David Otunga seems to be assembling his own little group, as he's called together Dr. Doom, Cody Rhodes, Christian, and Dolph Ziggler together to form some kind of coalition against Triple H. I wonder what that's going to become like. But anyway, that's my thoughts on Raw. Tune in Thursday when I'm continuing my road to the TNA boycott. What's going to happen? We're still on the road to Bound for Glory. Anything could happen. And by anything, I mean Hogan stroking his cock and reminding us how big of a dick he is. But until then, this is shintigercurl, that dude in the straw hat, and Joe, saying good night and wrestle on.